Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to this game dissection series where we choose a game and dissect it so that we can understand how does it work behind the scene. Before we move further, let's talk about a game. So the game that we are going to dissect in this video is Monument Valley. And if you haven't played this game yet, then do check this game out. It's a really amazing puzzle based game and the link will be in the description for you to check it out. So the game works on the concept of shapes which cannot exist in real space as they rely on the perception of the viewer. So I have this little game setup ready where I will be explaining to you guys how this game exactly works and how does the mechanics function. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support me and to keep yourself updated with the latest game development videos. So before we dive into the game mechanics, let's take a look at the actual game. So let's play the video. So the first thing that we see is actually the controls. So if user have to go from point A to point B, he just have to tap it. So let's just move ahead with the video. So this is the exact game mechanic that we are going to create. So basically the concept is you actually rotate a particular shape in particular direction to create a path for the character to move on. So let's just move on to the actual implementation. So here I am using Unity 3D, but the choice is up to you. You can use whatever engine you like. The concept will be the same. So here, as you can see, we have this basic shape. And this shape is known as a Penrose triangle. This shape cannot exist in real world as it's based on illusion. So let's first study the shape. So we have this horizontal Z. I have created this horizontal Z using cubes. Then we have this horizontal X. Then we have this vertical pillar, right? So what I want is my character should move from point A, that is this point, to this point, and from this point to the point at the top. Let's just take a look at the game view. So my character will move from here to here and directly to here. And the experience should be seamless so that the player won't notice what is happening behind the scene. So first thing first, let's rotate the triangle so that you can have a better view. So this is something like that we want to achieve. The character can move seamlessly from this point to this point to this point. Now one more thing, let's set up the camera as well. So this is the camera setting that you can choose for yourself. Apart from that, the camera should be orthographic. Okay, so we have this orthographic camera. So as you can see, the result is very close to our actual game. Let's rotate this a little bit more. So we want something like this, right? The player can move from this point to this point and to this point to his goal, right? So the way I have achieved this is basically using a plane. So let's create a 3D plane. And arrange it in such a way to create that illusion that it's seamless, right? Now, as you can see, we have this seamless walking experience where player can walk from point A to point B and he won't be able to notice any difference in the shape or in the path. As you can see, this is completely dependent on the illusion, and in reality, there's no actual walking that will be happening. So what we are going to do is a character will move from this point to this point, and as soon as it reaches this point, I will be transporting my character using tuning to this point. So it will look like the character is actually moving in a straight line. For a person who is actually playing the game, for him, the movement will be in a straight line path, right? So this is the concept that we are going to utilize. And this is how exactly this game mechanics work. No two points are connected. The only connection is through the nodes that we see here. So let's say if player has to walk from this node to this node, he will be calculating his path from this node to this node and he will be moving in that path. And every node will have the data for its next and for its previous node. So if I talk about this particular node, as soon as the player hits the node, the player will request for the next node, and the next node will be this node. The player has to move from this node to this node. He will seamlessly use a tween animation or a simple tweening and will be transported to this node. So let's talk about this shape. As soon as the player reaches to this shape, he will be transported to this point, right? And he will walk on these points, and after this point he will be transported to this point. Let me actually show you how this will work. So let's say a player is on this node, right? This exact node, turning on a lever which will rotate this particular L shape, right? So let's just rotate this L shape and see what do we get. So as we can see in the actual scene, we do not have any linkages, but if we talk about the perception, the user will see a seamless straight path, right? So as soon as the user will reach at this point, he will be transported to this point and he'll carry on with his path. So this is how the game will work. So game is completely dependent on the optical illusion, and every stage is a different type of illusion. So I hope you guys were able to understand how does the game mechanics work. So the game does not revolve around the controls. The game basically revolves around the optical illusion that you see. So from a developer's point of view, this is the actual level, and from a player's point of view, this is the actual level. The level is very seamless. You just have to rotate to get the results. So this covers the basic game mechanics of this game. Apart from this, we have a movement mechanics where you move from one point to another. A little bit about the movement mechanics. The player can simply click on a particular point and he will move towards that point using the nodes or using a simple tracing algorithm. So yeah, that is it for this video, guys. And if you are still here, do like the video and subscribe the channel for latest updates.